Hi everybody, today we're going to walk through a chemistry lab. The title is Disturbing an Equilibrium. On the whiteboard you'll see the system that I have set up in a small test tube. I half filled with water, so this is just the water right here. And then I added 2 drops of potassium thiocyanate, KSCN, and I'll do that right here. Okay, and you can see that's still clear and colorless. And to the KSCN, I added 0.1 molar iron 3 nitrate aqueous, also 2 drops. So I'll do that right here. Okay, we shake it up, and we get the system that is shown on the whiteboard there. Okay, so I have that already set up for you. I just wanted to show you where that came from. So what we did then, or what I did then, I guess you'd say, is I equally divided it among 4 other test tubes. So the test tube on the far left, passing periods. The test tube on the far left right here, that's our control. We're going to leave that alone and do nothing to it. And then each of these test tubes, we're going to disturb, right? So right now the system's at equilibrium. I'm just going to leave that test tube that I just made right there so you can kind of see again. So right there, that's the equilibrium color. So in your data table, it asks you, what is the equilibrium color? And I would call that orange, okay? I'll take a picture at the end with the control and with all the final ones, but right now, again, the equilibrium color is going to be that tube, or either of those tubes I'm going to leave alone, and then we will treat each of these differently and see what happens. So again, written on the whiteboard is the reaction. I took aqueous iron 3 nitrate and reacted it with aqueous potassium thiocyanate. Both of those were clear and colorless. When they came together and made product, right, they made some iron 3 cyanide, and it looks like it's an ion in solution, right? So it's aqueous, but the color of that is red-orange. And then obviously it's exothermic, it's releasing some heat. Doesn't feel warm, it's such a small scale. Okay, so I'm gonna jump ahead in the procedure just for time. If you read through, it does say setting up the equilibrium, divide the red-orange solution among other test tubes, which I've done. And then we're going to go ahead and add some things. It asks us to, in step 11 and step 12 down there, if you're following the same lab sheet as me, or down where it says disturbing the equilibrium, it does say to place 1 tube in a hot water bath and 1 tube in a cold water bath. Here is my cold water bath, okay? I'm just going to set a tube in here for right now, just to give it some time to, I guess, change a bit for us. And then I'm also going to take a tube, and I have a hot water bath sitting back here. I'm going to set that in there just for right now so that those are ready to go and we're ready to check them. Okay, so the first chemical that we're supposed to do, it asks us to add a couple of crystals of solid iron 3 nitrate. So here is solid iron 3 nitrate. And I'm just going to add a tiny bit to one of those test tubes. Get a bit of that out. I will put it in this test tube right here. Okay, and so you can see that is our iron 3 nitrate. Next, I'm going to move this guy out of the way so that we have some more room. And the result, I think you can see, is a lot deeper red than the control was. Okay. All right, now our next test tube, we are supposed to add a tiny bit, a couple crystals of solid potassium thiocyanate. So that's this, okay? So here's my potassium thiocyanate. I'm going to add that to this test tube. And I think, again, you can see that it got deeper red. And I added a little bit more than I probably added the iron, so therefore a little bit darker. Okay? All right, so now it says take a test tube. So here's another control test tube set up. And it asks us to add 5 drops of sodium hydroxide. So here is my sodium hydroxide. I'm going to add 5 drops to this test tube. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And if I shake that up a little bit. Now notice I'm adding it to the entire system. Sometimes people start saying, oh, I added it to the reactants, or I added it to the products. No, I have this whole system in the test tube, right? I have reactants and products all mixed together, and I added the sodium hydroxide. And you can see that it turned very pale. I would almost call it like a yellow, super pale yellow, okay? Not colorless, but super pale yellow, okay? All right, so again, control, right here. I added solid iron 3 nitrate. I added potassium thiocyanide solid crystals, and then I added sodium hydroxide. All right, the hot water bath. Let me grab that one out because it is ready to go. Back here. Here is the test tube that came out of the hot water bath. And it's hot, so I'm just going to drop that down. Definitely looks a lot lighter than the control. And here is the one that came out of the cold water bath. Okay, let me turn this, I don't know if you can see that. Okay, all right, so what you're going to do is record your data in the data table. Again, reading those tubes from left to right. The tube on the far left, right here, that is the equilibrium color. We'd call that orange. This is disturbance. I guess we call it test tube 2. We added solid iron 3 nitrate. Okay, got a lot darker. This is disturbance test tube number 3. We added solid potassium thiocyanate. You can see it got a lot darker. So these mean just showing that it's more red-orange, right? This was the tube that we added sodium hydroxide to. Got lighter in color, so less color, right? So it went from equilibrium to maybe that direction, we would say. And then this is the tube that we put into the hot water bath. Okay, so that one I got lot less color. And then this was the one that we put into the cold water bath. So copy that data down. I've walked you through a bit of the directions of shift. I'd like to see you kind of work through, if you can figure out which direction the shift was, and then perhaps work through some of those questions. Okay? All right, take care.